What's up, Matt from Urchfab. In this video I'm showing you how to troubleshoot your old Mig Welder. Alright, so this is something that comes up all the time for me. Someone will phone me up or whatever and say, doesn't matter how I set the machine up using the same settings that I would always normally use, I just can't get it to run right. Or they'll say, every time I go to start up a weld, it's stuttering really badly. Or they'll say, I'll set the machine one day, weld something, it'll run perfectly, go back to it the next day with exactly the same settings, and it'll weld like crap. And all these problems, 99% of the time, related to three things. And I'm going to show you how to check those three things and yeah, get it running like it was brand new again. Alright, so this is my Thermal Arc Fabricator 200. This is transformer based. And this is, I've had this thing probably 6 years, I would say, maybe 7. I've basically built my whole business with this one welder, and I got this off a good friend of mine when he retired, and this was one of his machines that he used for his business. He probably had it for a couple of years before me, so this thing's probably 10 years old, and it still works as well as it did when it was brand new. And this will do just as good a weld as that thing over there, which is 1,500 quid's worth. It might not have, you know, all the features, you might not be able to do as much of it, but yeah, I've built a whole business with this. If I was to sell this, you know, I'd probably get 200 or 300 for it. So you can pick these up cheap, and a lot of the reason for that is because people will use them. Once they get to a year or 2 years old, you will start to notice some differences in the way they run if you don't maintain the parts in it which are designed to wear, or which do wear. And so you can find a machine that will have been sold that has absolutely nothing wrong with it, other than, you know, a few quid's worth of little parts which you can swap out, and you'll have it running like new. And with these old transformer type machines, there is very little that ever goes wrong with them. They're super reliable. So if I had to have just one machine, you know, to last me a lifetime, it would be one of these. So basically, the first thing, the most simple thing you want to check is, and the most obvious, is first check your earth. This is always a common culprit if you're getting a stutter start. Check the bolts are tight on the clamp. Check the clamp's got like really good clamping force to it. Check that the copper connector isn't broken in there. And then if you look closely on here, you'll see that I've actually run my earth straight to the base of the machine, to the terminal on the inside, because this socket had worn. And what you'll find is, as these get old, they don't clamp in as tightly as they should, and if you're moving the machine around, you know, keep moving the earth clamp around, it might rattle loose without you noticing. So I've done this with a couple of machines I've got that are older machines, but you can buy new sockets and then just buy a new earth. But for me, this machine doesn't need to be portable. There's no reason I need to take that out, so I just connected it in permanently. You know, make sure your cable's good, got no breaks in it. Alright, the second most common thing that I see people doing, and then they're wondering why they're not getting consistent results, is they'll have this all like twisted up, knotted around, like pulled around a car or wedged under a tyre while they're trying to weld. This has got to feed the wire through it, so if you've got a bend in it like that, you try and pull the trigger, you're putting a load of extra strain on the rollers in there, which are trying to feed it through. So you need to keep this as straight as you possibly can all the time. Obviously it's designed to flex a bit, but it's not designed to be bent over in tight curves. Alright, next little quick test you can do is just try and grab the end of the wire. See if you can pinch it with your fingers and stop it. It should be able to push. It should have good force, you know, it should be resisting you pushing against it, because it's got to drive that wire down to the plate. As you're dragging it along the plate, that's got to be driving into it constantly to make the circuit for this to actually work. So it's got to have enough force to keep pushing it so it's tight on the metal to actually make the connection. So if you've got like no power to that, if you can hold your finger over it and it won't even, you know, push it out, it's either because you've got this bent over too tight, the liner in here is worn out, or if you've run rusty wire through the liner. So say you haven't used your welder for ages, you've got a load of rust on the top of your wire, you run that through the torch once, it'll clog up the liner, and then, you know, it's going to grip as the wire is trying to go through it, and it will affect how easily that pushes its way out. So you can either just replace the liner, which I'll show you how to do in a second, or, you know, maybe once a year, or I'll probably just put a whole new torch on. When I was using it a lot, not so much now. So the other thing to check is your rollers. If the teeth on this roller aren't sharp and digging into this wire properly, if they've worn out, it's not going to grip the wire properly. So I'll do a torch liner or just a new torch. I'll put a new roller on it, and I'll put a new earth clamp on it. I'll take all the covers off, blow all the dust out, and then just check all the connections, check everything's tight. And yeah, like I say, this thing is still like brand new. Alright, so if you don't want to just put a new torch on it, if the trigger and everything works fine, then you can just replace the liner, put a new shroud on it, new tip on it, and it'll be good to go. I'll just show you quickly how you put a new liner on it. So this is obviously the plug end that goes into the machine. Just going to undo the little cap, which has got like a 14mm thread on it. That's the end of your liner. And then lay your torch out flat on the floor. And just get your pliers. Pull it out. Or just pull all the way out. These are going to be sold in whatever length your torch is. So if you've got a 4 metre torch, you need a 4 metre liner, and whatever size wire you're going to run. If you're running 0.8 to 1mm, you'll get a 0.8 to 1mm liner. If you're running smaller, 6 to 0.8, you'll get a smaller liner. You can match it to whatever your torch is. When you're fitting a new one, it's exactly the same. Just bolt that off, lie your torch out nice and flat. Poke her in till she's all the way down. What you'll have on the other end, if this is a brand new liner, is this will be sticking up probably like 3 or 4 inches above the end of that. Snip it off, flush. Bosh that on. Get some new tips, obviously match your tips to your wire size, same as your liner. relined, ready to go. Alright, so that's it. Yeah, basically it's usually all, 99.9% of the time it's going to be your earth or the wire isn't feeding as it should be, and that's going to be the rollers, the liner, or the fact that you've got the torch bent round some stupid angle and it's not, you know, it's not allowing it to feed through there easily. So if you just picked up an old machine, or you've got an old one that you're going to chuck out or replace, just stick a new earth on it, chuck a new liner in it, stick a new drive roller on it, and yeah, it'll be like brand new. So yeah, hopefully that helps someone out. And it's too hot to do any welding today, so I wanted to do a video where I didn't actually have to weld anything. So yeah, that's it. Cheers for watching. See you on the next one.